Next part to review in our animation series is the new functions of the frame animation class in support of sound playback. Each frame that originally had two components, the string to display and the time delay, now can have a third component, which is the sound file. It is simply a string that provides the path to MP3 file, and it is an optional component of the frame. So these are three constants that I use to access elements in a list which represent individual frame. All right. So one more thing to mention here is this: is sound playback active? So we already stated earlier that the idea here is that the animation is not complete until every sound playback has finished. Okay, so this is the indicator which I simply increment if the sound is being played back. And if there are multiple playbacks at the same time, we can have multiple increments, but as soon as the play sound module finishes the playback, this variable is decremented. And so as soon as it goes back to 0, it means that no more sounds are being played. So this will be now included in determination whether the animation is still active. Another portion here that there's which is new is duplicate frame. I simply this function I found to be tremendously helpful when constructing the animation is just simply to take the previous frame, whatever its content was, and simply duplicate it. Okay, so the frame duplication, however, excludes the sound component. So if the sound was present in the previous frame, it is removed. It still can be duplicated, but it is removed. And update frame sound is the new function which adds the sound component to the current frame. Okay, and the limitation of update frame sound is that it must be the last update in the sequence of updates if you want to make multiple updates to the frame sound. So it pretty much takes the current frame and either updates the sound component or appends it if it was not in this frame. So the frame sound is simply the sound file path, which can be added to the current frame list. Okay, what else? So when we're printing the frames, print next frame function is just as before. It is responsible for calling itself through the timer delay. After the delay time interval, it calls itself right on the new thread of execution. However, it is also responsible for sound playback if the sound component is present here. So I use it as a Boolean indicator, and I say if basically if we detect that the frame, the current frame at the current index has the frame sound, we extract the MP3 file and we indicate that frame has sound is true. And then if the frame has sound, we simply call play sound function to play the sound. This play sound is synchronous, so basically this thread gets suspended until the play sound finishes. And with this in mind, I'm going to start using this sound playback active and I'm incrementing it before playing the sound and decrementing it, subtracting, adding one and subtracting one as soon as play sound has finished. All right, so these are pretty much all the new functions. And one more thing to mention with respect to the animation in progress is that we also now are checking if the sound playback is active. So if the frame index is still in progress, so it has not reached the length of all frame sequence, then of course the animation is still in progress, as well as if any of the sound playbacks are still working, finishing MP3 sound playback. All right, so these are the functions that being modified or added to this frame animation class, which represents the object that we use to animate text line, plus now we can add the sound playback. So I suggest that you review the main program as well, the way it starts appending new frames, and just to show you that this is where we finish animating a car object, and then we start playing the sound on the next frame or on the last frame of the car animation. But then this is where, with interval of 1 second, which synchronizes itself with the playback sound as well pretty nicely, we adding these starting lights to the animation. And by the way, at the end of it, at the start, the lights are cleared. So when the race begins, the lights go off, and that's the signal that the race can begin.